Hi, we're going to try this again. I guess I did this video and never pushed record. I don't know how that happened. But anyway, welcome to Bitcoin Country. My name is Sue and today's date is February 4th, 2021. In today's video, we are going to talk about the history of money. To know where we are going, we have to know where we have come from over the long term. We have all lived in the days of the US dollar, but it wasn't always so. And that is where we begin. I believe the best investment you can make is an investment in yourself. Invest in your own education. Learning never stops. Of the many books I have read the last several years, I've noticed a common thread among successful people. They spend time reading for educational purposes on a very regular basis, usually daily. The only way to move forward is to keep learning and not stop. The world changes around us daily. We must not stop learning lest we catch ourselves falling behind. If you learn how our current financial system works, you can better protect your assets and your money, and hence your family. In turbulent times like these that we are going through now, winners and losers are being created every day. The only way we can try to make sure we are on the winning side of the equation is to learn all that we can learn and take steps when change is necessary. Change is hard. It's hard for me too. I'm pretty risk averse, but I am committed to not being one who loses in the financial transition that we are going through. As a side note, if you're not aware that we are going through a financial transition, look up the World Economic Forum and the term the Great Reset. I don't think many people like what is going on in today's world, but things are the way they are, and we have to dig in our heels and take on the challenges that are before us. Whether we like it or not, the changes are here. There are only two options in my mind: let the whole thing run over me and take what the powers that be are willing to give me, or learn how to protect myself and take the steps necessary to navigate the changes that are going on around us. And these changes are going to continue to go on for some time. I'm hearing maybe 10 or 20 years. So you're not too late to the game. We're at the beginning of this, but it's time to get started. Okay, now on to money and currency. True wealth is your time and freedom. Money is just a tool for trading your time to store up economic energy until you're ready to use it. There's a difference between money and currency, even though most of us use these terms interchangeably. Currency is a medium of exchange in general use in a particular country. It is portable, divisible, durable, and fungible. What does fungible mean? Fungibility is the ability of a good or asset to be interchanged with other individual goods or assets of the same type. Fungible assets simply simplify the exchange and trade process, as fungible implies equal value between the assets. So every fiat dollar that's a dollar bill is equal to every other fiat dollar that's a dollar bill. A $20 bill is equal to every other US dollar bill, and so on. So let me give you an example. Each unit is the same as the next. For example, you can say 1 dozen of eggs is worth $2, and $2 can be used also to buy, say, a gallon of gasoline. In historical times, we might have had to trade my cow for, say, 3 of your pigs. But if I didn't need or want your 3 pigs, then it got harder to do transactions. The development of currencies with a standard value made it trade much easier. Then we could go buy what we really wanted directly. Money is defined as the assets, property, and resources owned by someone or something, also called wealth. It is all of the things currency is, plus it is a store of value over a long period of time. Don't forget this. This is key, and I'm going to keep repeating it. Real money is a store of wealth over a long period of time. The currency in your pocket is a medium of exchange, but is not necessarily, and is not, a store of wealth over a long period of time. Because the government can print more currency and dilute the currency supply, it is continuously transferring wealth out of your bank account and back to the banking system and the government without you even realizing it. Roughly 5,000 years ago, Egyptians started using gold and silver as their main form of currency. Trade was difficult because there was no standard unit. They didn't have like 1 ounce silver or gold dollars, but it was a start. Gold and silver store large amounts of value in a small space, so that's one of the reasons they're very useful to store wealth. Pure gold has the same value all over the planet, another desirable characteristic. Gold and silver are limited in quantity, which is why they hold their purchasing power. Governments cannot print it. Over the past 5,000 years, there have been thousands of fiat currencies, otherwise known as paper currencies. But over that time period, only gold and silver have maintained their purchasing power. Fiat currency is currency that is printed by the order of a government and approved for use in that country. And this would be as good of a time as any to mention the Federal Reserve System, in that the Federal Reserve is a privately owned company. It's neither owned by the federal government, nor does it have any reserves. Look it up for more information. Look it up online. It's important that you understand this. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. I was surprised. It took a long time before I understood and knew the Federal Reserve had nothing to do with our government. Sounds pretty crazy, right? Okay, on to currency. In the United States, we have the dollar, Japan has the yen, and Mexico uses the peso. I have often heard Robert Kiyosaki, the author of the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, say the wealthy work for assets, but the poor exchange their time and labor for currency. He describes assets as anything that passively produces income, like timberland, real estate, rental properties, stock portfolio that produces regular dividends, that kind of thing. So if you only trade your time and money for fiat, so if you only trade your time and labor for fiat money, it is harder to get ahead. I highly recommend Robert's books and radio channel, and you can find his radio channel on YouTube. I have learned a lot from him. So the bottom line is, no fiat currency has ever survived long term, not one. And this one we use now, the US dollar, is coming to the end of its useful life. I'm sure that's hard to hear. It's what you and I have always known to be money. It's how we get paid for our jobs, how we pay our mortgages, buy food and clothing. It's our medium of exchange. It's not like I'm trying to tell you that instantly the dollar will be gone, but don't expect things to stay the same, because they're not, and they never do. One of the characteristics of money is that it holds value. Well, since the US dollar has lost over 95% of its purchasing power since it was first printed in 1913, it certainly doesn't hold value. So if I offered you monopoly money, US dollar bills, and a 1 ounce gold coin, which would you take? Now that's assuming there's $2,000 worth of monopoly money, there's $2,000 in $20 bills, US currency, and one pure gold ounce coin. Which is the best store of value? Because gold and silver has essentially been removed from our monetary system, most people would choose the US dollars. But is that the best choice? Well, sure, if you want to spend it right away. But if you want to save it for a rainy day, for a long-term purchase, or for your retirement, maybe not. Clearly, then, the best choice would be the gold by far. Do you know that before World War I, a $20 note issued by the United States government stated, "This certifies that there has been deposited in the Treasury of the United States of America $20 in gold payable to the bearer upon demand. The money was in a vault, the gold that is. The currency was a note they gave you as a claim upon the money in the vault." So the currency was literally a claim check to go back to the bank and get your gold. Why? Because the pieces of paper were much easier to carry around. Now, at some point, they took that wording off of our bills. Did you notice? I don't remember what year that was, if it was in the 30s that they did that. But anyway, you'll see nothing of that now. I feel it's important to keep stating that money is a store of value and must maintain its purchasing power over a long period of time. Currencies are really a tool used by governments and financial sector to skim from your time and freedom by stealing your purchasing power. Governments don't like gold, and they do everything they can to convince you it's not an asset class and has no use in today's world. How many of you have heard Warren Buffett say that gold is a pet rock? He doesn't understand why people dig it up out of the ground and then take it and put it in a box and bury it back in the ground for safekeeping. And yet, the big question in my mind is, if it's a useless relic, why do I hear well-known money experts saying they advise all of their wealthy clients to keep at least 10% of their assets in gold as a hedge against inflation? Rules for thee, but not for me? I would say so. Don't miss my point here. I'm not telling you this to preach to you about going out and buying gold and silver. However, I am explaining the difference between money and currency, and that gold and silver are used to store wealth over a long-term period of time by banks and wealthy individuals. I will continue to preach to you about having more tangible assets. That means things you can hold in your hand, like land, gold, silver, real estate, and also a new category called cryptocurrency. We will talk about the structure of cryptocurrencies in later videos. That's too much for now, but cryptocurrencies, because of the structure they are held in, are considered a tangible asset if you hold them in your own hand. Intangible assets are things that you cannot hold in your hand. Think of all those accounts you have that are digital numbers on a computer screen. Your bank account, your retirement account. Say you own a lot of shares in a mutual fund and the stock market drops. What do you have? A lot less. I'm not saying not to have stocks, bonds, or other intangible assets. My point is, you should understand the difference between tangible and intangible assets so you can determine your own risk tolerance. Too many of us have been lulled into a false sense of security regarding our finances with the blending of the words money and currency. Know the difference between the two. This is one of the primary keys to beginning to understand how to protect and build your wealth. The real crux of the matter of governments not using gold to back their currency is because it constrained spending. Once Nixon took us off the gold standard in 1971, this allowed the federal government to spend away with no controls in place. Now we are drowning in an ever-increasing federal debt with no apparent way out. You see, interest rates have been low for the last 10 years. Since the federal government pays interest on its outstanding debt, any rise to the interest rate would cause the federal government to immediately default. Well, we can't let that happen. So this is how we know the US dollar is near the end of its useful life. There's basically no way out of this dilemma. Well, I tried to keep this video short, but cover pertinent information that you need to know to get a good baseline if you want to understand how to protect your wealth. I think this is enough for one video. In the next video, We'll cover inflation, deflation, quantitative easing, and other related issues. Please give me a thumbs up if you liked the video and subscribe to my channel. Remember, if you have any questions, put them in the comment box below and I will try to answer your questions. This is Sue. I'm with Bitcoin Country, and I want you to remember the family is everything. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.